This conference will now be recorded.
Anyone? Why IP is logical? Why Mac is physical? Logical means can be changed. We discussed earlier how to change the IP address, how to remove the IP address because it's logical. Mac means we cannot change, we cannot remove. Media access controller. In your the mobile number is IP address or MAC address. Mobile number. Can I compare mobile number with IP or MAC? Mobile number can be changed. IP address can be changed. The mobile number is a logical address. Then what is physical address in your mobile? IMEI number. IMEI number we cannot change. That is called physical. Now, if two systems want to talk each other, we need a IP address and a host name. So this host name is wisdom 1 and this host name is wisdom 2. And assume that this IP is 192.168.0.1. This IP is 192.168.0.2. As we discussed earlier, IP address for communication. IP address not to communicate local system. Mobile number not to communicate yourself. Mobile number to communicate the remote. IP address always to communicate the remote system, not to communicate the local system. Then what is the purpose of host names? Host names not for communication. What is the purpose of host names? Before that, whenever we configure IP address host name at the time of installation or after installation, there is a file called /etc/host file. What this host file contains, the local IP address 192.168.0.1 and local host name wisdom1. There is a file /etc/host file which contains by default local IP address and local host name. Here also /etc/host file which contains local IP address 0.2, host name wisdom2. Every Unix box there is a file called /etc/host file which contains local IP address and local host name. You know how to check the IP address of local system? My local system is wisdom1 IP space A to see the IP address. I want to test my network card is working or not. How do you test my network card is working or not? Check the IP address of the system with IP space A, then type ping 192.168.0.1. When you type ping IP address, it will generate the packets with this IP, and send the packets to the network card. So when we configure IP address, the IP address is logically bound with the MAC address. The IP address is logically bound with the MAC address. Generate the packets with this IP and send the packets to the network card. So how many packets are transmitted? How many packets are received? How much percentage loss? For example, If 5 packets are transmitted and 5 packets are received, how much percentage loss? 0% loss. If you encounter 0% loss, network card is working fine. No problem with the network card. If 5 packets are transmitted, 0 packets are received, 100% loss. If you encounter this error, 100% loss, there is a problem with the network card. The network card is not working. Like this, we can test network card is working or not by using ping command. How many packets are transmitted, how many packets are received, and how much percentage loss. You see, for example, Windows command prompt or Linux. Check the IP. Ping 192.168.157.163. Press Ctrl C for terminate. The 5 packets are transmitted, 5 packets are received, 0% loss. Assume that from wisdom 1, I am trying to communicate remote system wisdom 2 with IP address 192.168.0.2. This is not the local IP address, this is the remote system IP address. I want to test remote system is in the network or not. How do you test? Take remote system IP address, type ping command. How this wisdom knows that where this system in the network, where this IP address is. It will generate the packets with this IP, broadcast the packet. Broadcast means what? The packets goes to every system network. The server which contains this IP address receives the packets. If number of packets transmitted, number of packets received, both are same, 0% loss. Meaning what? The remote system is in the network. Five packets are transmitted, 0 packets are received, 100% loss. Not 5 packets, 0 packets, 100% loss. That meaning what? There is no system with this IP address in network. Or maybe the remote system is down, not responding. They will see 100% loss. Like this, we can test the remote system in network or not by using ping IP address. From wisdom 1, I don't know how to check the IP address. I don't know what is IP. I want to communicate my system with host name. What is my host name? Wisdom 1. You know how to see the host name. Type host name command that gives the system name. So type ping wisdom 1. What would be the result? 100% loss or 0% loss? Hmm? Anyone? If I type ping system name, local host name wisdom 1, 100% loss or 0% loss. It will generate the packets with the host name, and send packets to the network card. How many packets are transmitted? 5 packets are transmitted. How many packets are received? 0 packets received. Why 0 packets received? Your MAC address contains only IP address, not the host name. Network code cannot understand characters. It understands only numerical number. But these packets are with the host name, but MAC address contains only IP address, not the host name. So 5 packets are transmitted, 0 packets are received, 100% loss. You cannot communicate the system with host name. But in place of 0% loss, in place of, sorry, 100% loss, in place of 100% loss, we'll see that 0% loss. How it is possible? MAC address does not contain IP address, does not contain host name, only IP address. Then how it is 100%, how it is 0% loss? Whenever you type ping host name, local host name, it refers /etc/host file. Every Unix box, there is a file host file which contains local IP address, local host name. It refers host file. The host name resolved into IP address. Because of this local IP address, local host name, we are able to communicate local system with host name. The host name resolved into IP address. He got the IP address for the system. That IP address generate the packets with that IP and send the packets to the network card. So now 5 packets are transmitted, 5 packets are received, 0% loss. That is because of etc host file contains local IP address, local host name. Even Wisdom 2 also can communicate local system with host name because by default etc host file contains local IP address, local host name. So every system can communicate local system with host name because of /etc/host file. What is the purpose of /etc/host file? Name resolution. What is the meaning of name resolution? When I give the host name, that gives the IP address. But we never communicate local system with host name. Every user will always communicate remote system, not local system. So I want to communicate remote system with host name. I'm an end user. I don't know what is IP address. I can't remember the IP address. I want to communicate remote system with host name ping wisdom 2. What would be the result? Generate the packet with the host name and send the broadcast the packet. Those packets are with host name. No network card contains host name information. So 5 packets are transmitted, 0 packets are received, 100% lost. So we can communicate local system with host name, but we cannot communicate remote system with host name. In order to communicate remote system with host name, we need to set up, configure DNS server. For example, ping yahoo.com. Yahoo.com is not my local system. Yahoo.com is my remote system. I don't know the IP address of yahoo.com. I know only host name. So ping yahoo.com. So I'm able to ping. So 5 packets are transmitted, 5 packets are received. This is because of DNS. So DNS not required to communicate local system. And we never communicate local system. DNS always to communicate the remote system. Without knowing the IP address, you want to communicate the remote system, we have to configure DNS. But when the DNS was implemented in the mid 1980s. DNS was implemented mid 1980s. Before mid 1980s, when there was no DNS, how we used to communicate remote system with host name when there was no DNS? In the earlier days, the job of network administrator, because of no DNS, if at all you want to communicate remote system with host name without knowing the IP address, your job is add the remote system IP address host names in every system etc host file. In every system, add the remote system IP address host name in every system /etc/host file. So when I type ping wisdom 1, it refers local host file. remote system. Ping wisdom 2, it refers local host file, wisdom to resolve into IP. You got the IP address of wisdom 2, with that IP is going to communicate the remote system. Like here also, wisdom 2 want to communicate wisdom 1, type ping wisdom 1, it refers host file, the wisdom 1 resolve into IP. With that IP, wisdom 2 can communicate wisdom 1 with IP address. Now both the machines they can talk each other with host names without knowing IP address. This was the job of network administrators in the earlier days when the DNS was not implemented. So in this scenario, if there are file systems network, these file systems they want to talk talk each other, 5 into 5, 5 into 5, 25 entries you have to add. 5 into 5, 25 entries you have to add. In every system, add the remote system's IP address host names. If there are 25 servers network, 25 into 25, 625 entries you have to add. In the earlier days when there was no DNS, the job of network administrators, they used to update the etc host file, add the remote system's IP address host name, every system etc host file, so that any system can communicate with other systems with host names without knowing the IP. Then what's the problem here? Why they developed DNS? It is possible for a small network, not possible for a large network. I cannot add all internet servers IP address host names in my local etc host file. Only within the network, company network, not possible on internet. That's why they introduced DNS. And the other problems before DNS, the problem with etc host file before DNS, the first problem is name uniqueness problem. What was the problem before DNS when the DNS was not implemented? Name uniqueness problem, host file maintenance problem. The third one, server network load problem. These are the problems we used to face before DNS when the DNS was not implemented. So what is this name uniqueness problem? As we discussed earlier, so before that, what is similar to this slash etc slash host file in your mobile? So you want to communicate to your friend, are you going to dial name or number? So definitely number. But you can't remember all the friends' mobile numbers. I want to communicate with my friends with the names, not with the mobile number. What the solution? Add all the mobile numbers, names, local contacts. Local contacts nothing but your etc host file. Local contacts nothing but slash etc slash host file. If you add the numbers, mobile numbers and names, local contacts, we can dial with the name instead of number. Like here also, if you update etc host file, we can communicate remote system with host names without knowing the IP. Now coming to the name uniqueness problem. As I told you that if at all you want to communicate remote system, we need IP address. Then what is the purpose of host name? IP address for communication. And what is the purpose of host name? If you say that 202.141.151.21.4. You can't say which server IP address is. This is the yahoo.com IP address. If you say that 14.34.78.2, which IP it is? Gmail IP address. 21.56.89.32 is the IP address of Facebook. But you can't remember the IP addresses of all the servers throughout the internet. I want to communicate the servers with. It is not possible to remember the IP address, but we can remember the domain name, our first name, yahoo.com, gmail.com, hotmail.com, Facebook. So the purpose of first names for to identify the system in the network. If you say 202.151.5.6, you don't know what it is. But if you say gmail.com, you can understand very easy. So the purpose of first name to identify the systems in the network. But while giving the first names, those first names should be unique, cannot be duplicated. For example, you have a network class A, class B, class C. I have given a first name called Venus for the host under class A network. There is a first name called Venus under class A network. This first name is unique throughout the class A, unique throughout the class B, unique throughout the class. No other host in the network should contain the same host name. It is possible for a small network, but not possible for large network. We don't know what host name we are given. There might be chances of duplication of host name. So this is the first problem. Second one is host file maintenance problem. As I told you that whenever system is added, you have to add that IP address host name every system in etc host file. If it is private network, I'm a Linux admin. I can add this IP address host name, all the servers name private network. But if it is internet, if my server is connected to the internet, I can't add all internet servers IP address host names local host file. It is possible for a small network, not possible for large network. Server network load. What is this server network load? Generally, if you are working for a company in Hyderabad location, there are 5 branches in the same floor, 5 floors. In the Hyderabad location, we have 5 floors. Every floor there are 100 servers. You are the only network admin or Linux admin. You have to go to every floor, update this host file in every floor, all the 100 servers, all the 500 servers. One more branch in Chennai, a manager asking that update the servers in Chennai branch as well. Then you have to go to flight tickets, Chennai flight tickets, go to Chennai, update all the servers in Chennai branch. After 1 2 months, manager saying that we have one more branch in Bangalore, update the first file. Again, take the flight tickets, go to Bangalore, update the first file. Is it the solution? No, right? So what we can do in the local system, whatever servers we have in all the branches in your company, whatever servers in all the branches, add all the servers IP address first name on one server, which is called local system. The system which is physical access to you. The server which is physical access to you. Add all the servers 1000, 2000, 5000 servers IP address first name in local system with FTP protocol. We discussed earlier FTP file transfer protocol. I can upload this file to all the remaining servers on network. So rather than log into every system, update the first file in every system, update only one server with FTP, we can upload that file to all the remaining servers. Tomorrow one machine is added. Again we have to update all the 5000 servers. For one machine, again update all the 5000 servers with FTP. that is called server network load, network trap. All these problems are resolved in DNS. The DNS was developed by an organization called Berkeley Software Distribution. They developed a software called Bind software. Bind stands Berkeley Internet Named Domain. You want to configure DNS, we need a software that is Bind software. In Microsoft, the Bind software by default is installed. In Linux, this software not by default, you have to install the package. So how this DNS will work? Take one server, configure the server as DNS server. Remaining all the servers you configured as DNS client. One system set up a DNS server, remaining laptop, desktops, all servers are DNS client. The server, which is DNS server, here we have to set up two zone files, also called database files. Those are forward zone and reverse zone. Zone files we also call database files. Configure two database files. One is forward zone, the other one is reverse zone. In the forward zone, whatever servers we have in our organization, add all the servers first host names, then IP. All the servers first host names, then IP. In the reverse zone file, first IP address, then host name. In the earlier days, when there was no DNS, in every system, we used to update /etc/host file every system in the network before DNS. How this problem is resolved? Instead of updating every system, we are updating only one server DNS with the zone files of forward and reverse zone. If we have 5,000 servers, add the 5,000 servers host names IP address in only one server DNS server. Do not add any system IP address host name local host file. Why? Because a DNS already set up. So if this is a Unix or Linux server, you have to configure this server as a DNS client. To configure this server as a DNS client, at the client side there is a file /etc/nsswitch.com. Generally, if I type ping remote system host name, what I told you, it first refer host file for name resolution. When you type ping remote system host name, it always refers host file for name resolution. How system knows that when user type ping host name, how system knows that refer /etc/host file. Before it refers host file, it refers nsswitch.com. This file contains a line by default host colon file. This file contains by default a line host colon file. The meaning of host colon files, if user type ping host name, it is saying that refer local host files for name resolution. It refers host file, the host name, resolvent IP. It was earlier days when the DNS was not implemented. Because of DNS already configured, we are not adding the remote system's IP address host names local etc host file. So by default refers host file. There is no remote system IP address host name here. If there is no remote system IP address host name local etc host file, we We have to add DNS here. In the older versions, we used to add DNS after the host files. Why we should add DNS? Why? Because we are telling that if not found local host file, you're unable to resolve the host name from host file not found, then refer DNS for name resolution. In older versions, we used to add DNS after the host file. In the current versions, this DNS is by default. You don't need to update this file manually. You just understand the purpose of this line. What it is saying that if not found local host file, please contact DNS. Now where the DNS server that we have to configure manually. For that we have to create a file /etc slash result.conf. In this server, the DNS server IP address 192.168. For example 0.255 255 is my IP address of DNS server. This IP address is DNS server. The reverse ns-switch.conf file. If not found local host file, what name server to contact? Contact DNS server. DNS server also name server. Name server DNS server both are same. And what is my DNS server IP address? It will take the IP address of the DNS server and send the request to the DNS server. For example, from the client, I type ping yahoo.com or gmail.com something. So it refers ns-switch.conf. Why should I add gmail.com, yahoo.com, hotmail.com, all the servers IP address first names here? Already DNS is set up. It refers first file. If not found, what name server to contact? Where is my name server? What is the IP address? And send this yahoo.com to the DNS server. Refers forward jump file. The domain yahoo.com resolve into IP address. Now you got the IP address of yahoo.com. With that IP, you'll be communicate the website. In the browser, you're not typing the IP address of yahoo.com. You can't remember the IP. You don't know what is IP. What do you type? www.yahoo.com. Now what's the process? Refers first file, not found, refer DNS, wait the DNS server, take the IP address, and send this yahoo.com to the DNS server. It refers forward on file, yahoo.com resolve into IP address. We got the IP address of yahoo.com. With that IP, it connected to the yahoo.com. It opened the web page, the home page. This is how the DNS will work. Any questions? Now, how these problems are resolved in DNS? What's the first problem? Name uniqueness problem. What was the name uniqueness problem before DNS? If there is a first name called Venus under class A network, the first name should be unique throughout the class A, throughout the class B, throughout the class. If I'm adding the system in the network on internet, if I'm adding the system on internet, no other system, no other system on internet should contain the same host name. No other system on internet should contain the same host name. So how this problem is resolved in DNS? Before DNS, we don't have domain concept. The domain concept came from DNS onwards. For example, I have class A network. Taken any IP address from class A like 10.0.0.1 or 0.0. For class B, 172.31.22.45.0. For class C, 192.168.1.0. 1.0. This is slash. So 10.0.0.0, is it a IP address or subnet mask? Anyone? Blanket 10.0.0.0 is IP address or subnet mask?
It's
It's a
IP address.
subnet mask, sir.
Public IP address.
I'm not asking public or private. This IP, is it IP address or subnet mask or broadcast address? What is this?
IP address.
When the IP address ends with 0, it cannot be called IP address. IP addresses cannot end with 0. If it is end with 0, this is called network ID. If the IP address ends with 0, network ID. If the IP address ends with 255, that is called broadcast ID. IP address cannot be end with 0. IP address cannot end with 255. So how many IP address I can add here? From 0.1 to 0.254 IP addresses we can add. So all these IP addresses in that network, they can communicate each other. Because of same network, same class, they can communicate each other. Like here, all the IP addresses from 22.1 to 22.254 can communicate each other. 1.1 to 1.254 can communicate each other. But these servers, the IP address of this network can't able to communicate the servers in this network because both are different networks, both are different classes. The subnet is changed. So we need a router. What purpose we use router? To communicate different network or different classes or different subnets. So in the earlier days there was no domain concept. The domain concept came as onwards. So I'm going to replace this network with a domain. Let us say wisdom.com is my domain. This network I replace with a domain like it.com. This network I replace with domain, let us say gmail.com something. So all these are domain names, yahoo.com, gmail.com, Facebook, YouTube, all these are domain names. What is the meaning of domain? A domain is a group of computers. Whatever servers I have in that network, now all these servers are under domain wisdom.com. The servers in this network, now all the servers are under domain it.com. The domain is a group of computers. Now, in that wisdom.com domain, there is a host called Venus. There is a host name called Venus. In the earlier days, this host name is unique throughout the network, cannot be duplicated before DNS, when there was no domain concept. Whenever we configure DNS that need a domain name, without domain name, DNS cannot be configured. So when I configure domain name, the host name should be always venus.wisdom.com. Don't call that host name as Venus. Call that host name as venus.wisdom.com, where Venus is my host name and wisdom.com is my domain name. What is the advantage of domain names? The Venus is the host name, unique in the domain wisdom.com, cannot be duplicated. But the same Venus host name can be duplicated in it.com, unique in it.com, but the same host name can be duplicated in gmail.com. The host name is unique in one domain, but can be duplicated in different domain. So the first problem, name uniqueness problem, resolved in DNS. So the host name dot domain name, we also call FQDN. FQDN stands fully qualified domain name. AWS, Azure, all the cloud technologies, we are going to work with only fully qualified domain name. We never communicate the servers with IP addresses. We'll always communicate with fully qualified domain name. So you should understand what is this DNS server, what is this fully qualified domain name. The best example for fully qualified domain name, mail.yahoo.com, chat.yahoo.com, messenger.yahoo.com, mail, chat, messenger, all these are under domain yahoo.com. It doesn't mean that these are the fully qualified domain name. It's not fully qualified domain name. The best example is www.gmail.com, www.yahoo.com, www.facebook.com. This is the best example for fully qualified domain name. Here www is a host name, unique in gmail.com, but the same host name is duplicate in yahoo.com. Unique in yahoo.com can be duplicated in facebook.com. So www is a host name, Gmail, Yahoo, Facebook, all these are domain name. Okay, we'll continue tomorrow.
Namaskar, what is segment IP?
Which one?
Segment IP.
Segment.
Segment IP means,
Segment IP.
yeah.
SIGMENT.
SEGMENT.
And uh,
SEGMENT.
segment IP. I never heard.
SEE.
SEG.
Hmm.
Subnets. Subnetworks.
Subnetworks.
Subnetworks we call it segment. She'll be discussing the subnetting, subnetworks in AWS.
Oh, okay. 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 Okay, sir. Thank you.